Lads, as always, before we get into this match reaction, make sure you do subscribe, like the video, click the bell, share this with as many people as possible. And so then, lads, this is into this Man United match reaction. So full time from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Spurs 2, Man United 2. My match reaction is a prediction I called in yesterday's prediction video, and of course it presents back-to-back 2-2 draws on the road for United in the Premier League. And yes, the result does mean we continue our unbeaten streak into the 5 matches. We haven't lost since the end of September, and we're not going to lose until at the very earliest the end of November. So it does still manage to maintain a decent unbeaten record there, obviously. However, it still is a disappointing result, in my opinion. The first half was a very boring first half. Nothing really happened at all. However, the only thing really which did happen in that half was Brian Mbeumo's fantastic header there, assist by Amad Diallo to give us the 1-0 lead going into half time. So definitely very happy there. The fact we were going into half time with the 1-0 lead. The second half, on the other hand, in my opinion, once again it was similar, very similar to last week against Nottingham Forest, where I expected United, of course, to go into half time with the 1-0 lead through a header, and I expected us then to carry on the momentum, improve in the match, and go for the jugular, get a second goal, maybe kill the match off as well. That's what I expected, but for the second week in a row, that was not the case here in this one, because we sat back, we let Spurs have the ball, we let Spurs dominate possession the entire match, obviously, and it just ended up feeling like Spurs scoring was inevitable, and of course that came to fruition. Matthias Tel equalised in the 82nd minute, and then of course a massive deflection by the Lit, I think it was, led to Richarlison's, looked like to be a late winner there, obviously. He had his jersey off and all. He thought he had won the match there, but thankfully the Lit did redeem himself in the 96th minute and managed to salvage a point there in that one. So yeah, I mean, overall it was a very entertaining end of the match, but apart from that, for the first 80 minutes anyway, pretty boring match, nothing much to go on, but the last 10 or 15 minutes, very entertaining stuff. But obviously, of course, as I said earlier, it is a disappointing result, obviously, of course, because I mean, we haven't defeated Spurs in over 3 years, we haven't won away against Spurs in 4 years either, and so that definitely was a fantastic opportunity for us to end that Spurs Hoodoo and to finally get a result over Spurs. However, that was not the case here in this one. Look, at the end of the day, like, we just have to look at it as a case of, once again, we're just happy we didn't lose that one there, of course. And I mean, United teams of old, United teams of the past few years, after that Richarlison goal, probably would have shut up shop, buckled down, put their heads down, and probably wouldn't have even scored that equaliser. And there was the same case against Nottingham Forest too. So I suppose the fact we did manage to fight back and salvage points against Forest and Spurs away from home does show you that we are showing a bit of resilience, which definitely is very promising there, obviously. But still, of course, that Spurs team, they're not anything special. Like, I mean, they weren't really even that good today. They got 2 goals, of course, through 2 moments of brilliance, really. When Matthias Tels was a moment of brilliance, the Richarlison goal was pretty lucky, of course, too. It was a shot from Odegaard, who I was actually pretty impressed with when he did come on. And of course, he just flicked it on with his head there, of course. And even the first goal too, Matthias Tel's goal, it was a deflection from Matthias Ligt as well. So even both the goals were pretty lucky, thanks to 2 deflections, really. And I mean, I just wasn't too impressed by them. And I mean, when Xavi Simons, who definitely was looking very creative, to come off for Matthias Tel, I thought for sure we were going to hold on. However, that was not the case whatsoever. But I mean, in my opinion, Amram, we're going to talk about Amram a bit later on, but I thought, a lot of blame for us not winning that match could be in him, because we were very passive here in this one. We sat back in the entire second half, and as I did say earlier, we let Spurs dominate possession, and that led to the feeling of inevitability that Spurs were going to score eventually. And of course, as I did say, that happened not only once but twice as well. And alongside that, then of course, the subs we made in this one were just very clueless. And I mean, we just made 1 or 2 pointless subs there as well, and it meant that Benjamin Sesko, when he was injured and had to come off, we had to finish the game with 10 men. So that definitely was a big reason as the way that end of the match was probably as hectic as it was too. So yeah, and disappointing. Like, however, happy we managed to get at least draw there in that one. Really, it should have been Spurs trying to salvage a point. However, the fact we were the ones who had to come from behind and salvage a point there definitely wasn't that good. However, thankfully we did fight back. Thankfully they did step up big time here in this one, get his first goal of the season, and thankfully we are leaving North London with a point to spare, obviously, and maintaining our unbeaten record. So anyway, lads, I'm going to leave it up there for now. Let's get into my player ratings. Starting off in that with Saint-Lemans, it was a pretty mixed performance overall by Le Mans, I'm going to give him a 6. I think, for a mixed performance, that definitely is a very fair rating in my opinion. Both positives and negatives of his game. Positives, he made 2 very good saves there in that second half, 2 point blank saves. Some are saying, yes, I mean, the balls were sort of, right at him, of course. He didn't really have to move too much, do much work to save either one of those shots. However, quick reflexes, like obviously, of course, 2 point blank range shots. He had to react quickly, and I thought he did both of those very good, of course. Both the goals, in my opinion, neither were really his fault, of course. I mean, the first goal helped in by a Delit deflection, really. The second goal, too, then Richarlison, the flick on, sort of deflection, that did bamboozle Le Mans as well. So neither goal was really his fault either, but he still can see 2 goals here in this one. His distribution in this one was a bit poor as well, which maybe was not good. And even at times in this one too, looking a bit shaky. I mean, that first minute of the match, he just let a simple back pass roll under his foot, and we can see to the corner from that, of course. Just little things like that have definitely not helped his rating at all. So, I mean, it definitely wasn't the man's best performance here in this one, but he was okay. Like, nothing really at fault in this one here. Not really at fault for anything, but still, in my opinion, he needs to be doing a bit better. So, San Lamans here in this one, he was okay overall. 2 good saves. Not really at fault for any goals, but still, maybe a bit dodgy. At least he looked at times in this one. And so here in this one, I think a fair enough rating for the Belgian. It's a 6. On to the back 3 then next, starting off with Luke Shaw, who I'm actually going to give 7 here in this one. I thought Luke Shaw actually did pretty good here in this one for the majority of the match. I thought he looked pretty good defensively, and I thought bringing the ball forward, he definitely was a bit of a threat down that left-hand side. He did definitely help on the likes of Patrick Dorgu and Brennan Boom down that left-hand side too. He definitely did spark a couple half attacks, really. I guess you could say, I was about to say attacks, but you couldn't really call most of those attacks because we just didn't attack at all here in this one. We just didn't really have much of an interest in trying to challenge Vicario for the most part here in this one either. So that's why I'm only saying half attacks really. But Luke Shaw was at least moving the ball well. He was making good passes forward. He looked good defensively too. And here in this one, I thought he was one of our better players. So Luke Shaw for me is going to get a 7 here in this one. I thought Shaw overall was a pretty good player there to start off with the back 3. Harry Maguire then as well, 6. I'm going to give Harry Maguire to here in this one. Back from injury, however, was subbed off with an injury. He'd done his hamstring there. I think he's stretched out for a ball early in the second half. That definitely did give him a twitch there in 20 minutes or so. Later on then, he started to finally feel it, and of course had to come off. So hopefully it's nothing too serious there for Harry Maguire. He'll have an international break now to rest that, of course, but hopefully he's back as soon as possible from that. But overall, he can play better, but he wasn't too bad here in this one. Stuck to the basics, and so Harry Maguire then for me will get a 6, and to finish off the back 3 with Matthias Ligt, he's going to get an 8 for me actually, and he is my man of the match for today from United's perspective anyway. I thought Matthias Ligt for the entire match was absolutely fantastic. Yes, forget about the fact he helped on Udderber's shot, or was it Matthias Tell's shot, sorry. He helped that on, and that Spurs equaliser, and that one to make it 1-1. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit unlucky, of course, but apart from that, he was very good here in this one. I thought for the majority of the match, he had Richarlison in his back pocket as well, especially in the first half, of course. He was very strong here in this one, very good in the air, as proven with his clutch equaliser, obviously there too. A fantastic header there at the back post as well. Top corner, Vicario nearly capped it out, but thankfully he didn't, obviously. A brilliant header there, of course, to save us a point here in this one. It summed up what was a fantastic performance by Matthias Ligt. A proper bull of the back line there, of course. Good passing, good defensive capabilities, very strong on the ball and off the ball too, and definitely for me was our best player. So Matthias Ligt here in this one. A brilliant display once again by the Dutchman. He gets an 8 here in this one, and is my man of the match. On to the wing backs then next, starting off with Patrick Dorgu. It's a tricky enough one, but I'm going to give Dorgu a 5 here in this one. First half, definitely for sure. I thought Dorgu was pretty poor, heavy touches, giving the ball away, not really helping us going forward, etc., or not really helping us defensively either. But I thought as the game went on, especially in the second half, I thought Dorgu was looking a bit more improved, and I was a bit upset to see him get subbed off for Dallo. I mean, that was such a pointless sub, and we're going to touch on that then when we're talking about Ruben Amorim and his sub choices here in this one. It was such a pointless sub, it did feel like, but I mean, he was improving, but still wasn't great here in this one. So I'm not sure. I think a 5 is a fair enough rating here. Maybe you could push to give him a 6 here because he had a bit of a better second half, but here in this one overall, I thought Dorgu was a bit of a liability, and I do look back in the second half too when he got to the edge of the Spurs box, a brilliant position to cross the ball into Sheshko or to cut it back to Ahmad, who could have easily scored to double our lead, but instead he tries to shoot and it just goes miles wide, obviously. I mean, it's such a poor angle to shoot from. I don't even know what he was trying to do there, lads. It was just a terrible decision there by the day, and so here in this one overall, Dorgu, he wasn't great here in this one, but I will be positive enough about him. I will be a bit more lenient towards him, and I'll give him a 5 here in this one. On the right wing back then, we see Nusra Mazraoui start at right wing back. Mazraoui Mazraoui's getting the 4 here, lads. I'm sorry, Mazraoui was pretty crap here in this one. He's been pretty crap all season so far, and yet again here in this one, that proved to be the case. A very poor a brief sub cameo against Forest last week. He was given the start here in this one, and did he prove much? Not at all. He was very poor defensively, giving the ball away far too many times, poor decision making on the ball too, and poor positioning overall as well. So Nusa Mazraoui was very poor here in this one, and for me, the Moroccan will get in yet another negative rating, this time getting a 4. The midfield duo then next, starting off with Casemiro, who's going to get a 6 here. I thought Casemiro was okay. Yet again, nothing too special by him, but I thought when he was playing in this one for the majority of the match, mainly in the first half too, when we did have possession, he was controlling the play pretty well. He looked pretty composed on the ball as well. Good passing made here in this one. And I mean, yes, the way we set up here in this one, the way we played overall, we let Spurs dominate the midfield really. And of course, Casemiro couldn't really get a foothold for the majority of the match. But when he was on the ball, when he was getting passes off, he was looking pretty good. So for me, the Brazilian then can get a 6, and I'm going to give Bruno Fernandes a 6 just about as well here in this one. I could easily give him at least a 5, or at most a 5 really, but you know what, I'm just going to say he gets a 6 because there was some good moments from him here in this one. He was one of our slightly more threatening players at times here in this one. He did present pretty much our only shot in the entire second half, apart from Matthias Glick's equaliser right at the death of the match. Of course, it was a brilliant pass by Amad Diallo. He should have got volleyed it on target. Obviously it was a terrible finish there, but at least he created that chance for Ahmad to ping a fantastic pass to him, and at least he created something there for us to get half excited about. Overall, like Bruno Fernandes though, he was a bit poor here in this one, but I thought he did make quite a lot of good passes here in this one overall, so I'm not sure. I could give him a 5. You know what, lads, I'm going to give Bruno Fernandes a 5 here in this one. It's probably been up there the entire time I've been talking, but just thinking about it again there, has he done much? Has he done enough to get his high as a 6? In my opinion, he hasn't. So Bruno Fernandes here in this one, originally was going to give him a 6, however, you would have seen it down below me the entire time. I've actually given him a 5 overall. He had a good few moments in him here in this one. He looked okay at times, but overall just not good enough. A poor enough display in this one by the Portuguese captain. Now we go on to the front three, starting off with Brian Mbeumo, who was playing on the other side this week at left wing. I'll give Brian Mbeumo a 7, mainly because he scored the goal, of course. A fantastic header there. First attempt of the header, definitely, we will not talk about that. But the second attempt of the header, much better. And it wasn't really like a strong header either. We didn't put too much power behind it. Not really a bullet header, you would describe. However, it was a well-placed header, of course, just enough power on it to guide it into the top corner, of course, guide it into the back of the net as well. And it's brilliant to see Brian Mbeumo get back on the score sheet after a relatively poor cameo against Forest, and so hopefully now that's him back scoring goals for us again, which definitely is good to see. But here in this one overall, again, he was probably one of our more threatening players here on the left hand side. He wasn't doing too much in terms of creating chances, but at least he was trying. At least he was still running at Spurs at times. It's just a shame, the way we set up, the rest of the team just wasn't really following suit, obviously, for the most part, especially down the left hand side anyway. So yeah, in my opinion, Mbeumo didn't get too much help from his teammates here in this one. He got a goal for himself, which is good. He looked decent enough at times here. I probably would give him a 6. However, because he scored a goal to give us a 1-0 lead going into half time, I think the Cameroonian deserves a 7 here in this one. Amad Diallo then alongside him on the other side of the right hand side, then starting at the right wing position rather than his usual right wing back position. And Amad Diallo is actually going to get an 8 for me as well. Just about not man of the match. The lead, of course, does edge him to that award this week. However, Amad Diallo, in my opinion, was fantastic here in this one once again. Back to back brilliant performances, back to back 8 out of 10 ratings for Amad Diallo, in my opinion, in the past 2 games. And here in this one, he definitely was for me our most threatening, or our most exciting player. Anyway, put it that way. Some of his passes here in this one, his crosses, his crossfield passes, the 50-yard pings he was putting off, etc. at times in this one were all absolutely superb. Of course, they of course assisted Brian Mbeumo for our opening goal, obviously, and as well as that, then his work rate during the match as well was absolutely fantastic as well. Even when there was no players around him to help him, and there was plenty of Spurs players swarming him, he never gave up, obviously. Always forced tackles, always forced his possessions as well, and overall I was very impressed with that by Amad Diallo. But yeah, here in this one, very impressed by his performance. Hopefully more to come over the next few matches. So Amad Diallo then will get an 8 from me. I thought he was very, very good here in this one, the Ivorian, both when he played right wing and then when he was sort of pushed back into the right wing back position for the final few minutes of the match. And to finish off then, Matthias Cunha will get a 6 here. It definitely can be better from Matheus Cunha. I thought he was slightly improved from last week against Nottingham Forest. Look at, of course, good work rate. He was running about the entire time. He was winning the ball back a few times. Decent hold of play at times as well in the forward line when we were trying to attack as well. But overall, we can see better from Matheus Cunha, in my opinion, and we'll expect better from him when we do get back from the international break and play Everton then on Monday night, of course. So, yeah, again, like, he could be better, but he could be worse as well. I thought he was slightly better than last week, the Brazilian, and of course, work rate, you can't fault that really, can you? But I mean, just overall, he just didn't really do enough here in this one, didn't really do anything at all here in this one either. So for me, Matheus Cunha, the fair enough rating for the Brazilian, is a 6 here. On to the subs then next, starting off with Benjamin Sesko, who's going to get a 3 here in this one. Benjamin Sesko, I'm sorry, he was terrible here in this one when he would come on. I thought when he came on, you know, as a proper number 9, proper striker, finally on the pitch now, he could have given us something going forward. He could have possibly created the second goal for us to kill off the game. And of course, he had 2 or 3 big chances to score a second goal, and he messed up time and time again. Now, one of those chances was a fantastic, you know, massive challenge there, last ditch defending by Mickey van de Ven, obviously, and that led to him getting injured, unfortunately, and had to come off too. However, 2 chances before that, both in the silver plate for him, obviously. Vicario did good as well at times against Sesko, but I thought Sesko too slow here in this one. Lost the ball far too many times, per decision making, per speed, per positioning too, and overall, like, I mean, did we miss him too much when he did come off? Maybe because we were a man down. However, overall, like, I was very impressed by him. He just did not look good whatsoever. And I almost go as far as to say it was his worst display from us in the Premier League anyway this season. So, Benjamin Sesko, I'm sorry, he just did nothing right here in this one. Hopefully, he does come back from the international break, improved, and looking more like a striker. But here in this one, I'm sorry, he did not look like a striker at all here in this one. He was terrible in this one overall. And so, the Slovenian will get as low as a 3 here in this one. And the other subs then, obviously, Lany Euro will get a 5. I'm going to give Manuel Ugarte a 5 as well. Mason Mount will also get a 5 as well. All 3 of those players were okay. Didn't really do too much though. Diogo Dalot will also get a 5 as well too. So the other 4 subs will get 5s, but Ruben Amorim then to finish off with, I'm going to give Ruben Amorim a 4, and that's only because we got a draw here in this one. If we lost the match, it was going to be as low as maybe a 2 or a 1, because I'm sorry, the fact we did not win this match here in this one, it's not on the players. Well, maybe you can put some blame on the players, but for me, the majority of the blame has to go on Ruben Amorim here in this one, because I'm sorry, we are a team who are definitely more than capable and more than good enough of defeating that Spurs team, because Spurs, without Mohamed Kudus, for the majority of that match going forward, they look completely toothless, man. Whether it was through Xavi Simons, Randall Kolo-Muani, Richarlison, Brennan Johnson. Yes, Brennan Johnson scored an offside goal, but for the majority of the match, they looked terrible going forward. I mean, they just never looked like they were going to score goals, obviously, until they started to make some subs. Brought on Udebert, brought on Matthias Tell as well. And so the fact we couldn't just take advantage of that, realise to ourselves, just stop for a second and realise, hang on a second, we are better than the Spurs team. We can win this match here. We should go for the jugular now and we should make it 2-0. And maybe that's what I was thinking was when he subbed off Mazraoui for Sesko. A bit more of an attacking sub there, of course, but we really just didn't see much, of course, here in this one. And again, like, his subs just made no sense. I mean, why are you subbing Dorgu off for Dalot? What is the point in that sub? There's 0 point in that whatsoever. What that lead to? Benjamin Sesko had to come off injured. Oh wait, we have no more subs left, so we're going to have to play the rest of the match with 10 men. I mean, and that's all came from pointless subs like that, of course, you know. And as well as that, he just loves to change around his defence too. I know here in this one, it was sort of, you know, necessary because Harry Maguire had to come off with an injury and Lany Euro then came on for him. But he just loves to mess around so much with the defence, with the midfield too. You know, it just don't make sense to me, lads. It just simply did not make sense to me here in this one. We weren't ruthless enough here in this one. We were too passive here in this one too. We were far too lenient to Spurs here in this one. We let Spurs come back into the game. That's on us, of course. And I mean, yeah, in my opinion, the fact we didn't win this match here is on Ruben Amorim. And I tell you what, lads, his subs need to improve. We need to become a lot more ruthless. We need to really start showing teams that we are not going out here and we are not going to settle for points. We are going out in every match and trying to get 3 points. That's not what we've seen here in this one. So definitely big improvements needed before we return against Everton on Monday night after the international break. Big improvements needed, but hopefully Ruben Amorim can make those. But at the minute, like, past 2 games, haven't really been impressed by his managerial performance whatsoever. Anyway, lads, I'm going to end today's Spurs v Man United match reaction and player ratings. I hope that enjoyed it, of course. What do you think about what I've said here? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about the match? Let me know in the comments below as well. As always, lads, remember to like the video, subscribe if you're new, click the bell, and share this to as many people as possible. And so then, lads, I'll see you all in the next one here on KDFG.